When an old and forgotten case from the League's past ends up biting them in a big bad way many years in the future, all of history will be at stake. What'll happen next? Well, let's hop into the pages of Batman Superman World's Finest issue number 38, the kickoff to the brand new crossover We Are Yesterday, and find out what happens next together, shall we? Alrighty then, so if it's been a little bit since you've read Batman Superman, basically this Mark Waid series chooses to focus on the early days, but not too early days in the famous relationship between the Dark Knight and the Man of Steel. Today, Bruce and Clark are in Africa testing out a brand new state-of-the-art fighter jet courtesy of the engineers at Wayne Enterprises. Well, actually, they're not testing it out. Clark is writing about it for the paper, Bruce is showing off, and Green Lantern Hal Jordan is actually doing his own day job by taking this brand new scout craft for its maiden voyage. Superman says to Batman that he's surprised at him. After all, Hal is quite the cowboy. And that's a big investment he's in charge of flying around right now. Batman retorts by saying, hey, if anything goes wrong, he can just Green Lantern his way out of it, right, and save my investment? The punchline to this conversation being that Hal actually doesn't bring his Green Lantern ring with him when he flies, takes too much of the edge off, he needs the sense of danger to be good at his gig. And that Batman would know all of this already if he didn't insist on skipping post-briefs from the Justice League. Naturally, Hal does indeed run into problems when his instruments start malfunctioning, not due to any fault of his own, but due to interference from some secret unseen forces on the ground. The man who would be Green Lantern ends up evacuating his aircraft, though he disappears from everyone else's scanners, and this is because poor Green Lantern ends up falling directly into the famed Gorilla City, a place you would know all about if you're a big Flash fan. It would seem that today of all days, Gorilla Grodd, one of the Flash's most powerful and hated foes, is leading a massive coup to try and depose Gorilla King Solivar. And again, because this is a younger Batman and Superman, they have no actual experience with Gorilla City or Gorilla Grodd, and because of that, they end up tapping Barry Allen, the Flash, to come and assist them. As the Scarlet Speedster explains, Gorilla City is a technologically advanced wonderland many decades ahead of the rest of humanity that hides itself away behind a special cloaking device. As far as Gorilla Grodd goes, he's an absolute supremacist who believes that apes are better and more intelligent than the rest of humanity, who should be subjugated. Furthermore, not only is Gorilla Grodd built like a brick shithouse and could easily rip you in half using just his gorilla strength, he also just happens to be one of the most powerful telepaths on Earth, and the master of what he calls the force of mind. Now, using his ability to radiate his molecules, the Flash is able to get the world's finest inside Gorilla City. Together, the trio of heroes make short work of Gorilla Grodd's rebel gorilla army, though they admit that this is all coming way too easily, and they assume that they must have been walking into some bigger type of trap, and indeed they are. It seems that the devious Gorilla Grodd was ready for a fight with Superman, and as such he decided to bring on in a giant-sized ringer in the form of Titano, the ape with the kryptonite eyes. By God, I can't remember the last time I've actually seen this wonderfully weird Silver Age creation in earnest. This is why Mark Waid is such a beloved elder statesman of comics. Now, while Superman handles all of this monkey business, Batman goes to bust out Solivar and Hal. The King admits that this impromptu uprising really doesn't gel with Grodd's otherwise tactical and long game nature. It's all just really sloppy and really out of nowhere, meaning that he almost certainly has a secret plan under this current plan. And as Barry Allen fights Gorilla Grodd regularly, it doesn't take him too long to figure out what exactly is going on here. It seems that Grodd plans to use his telekinesis to move his own mental consciousness into the incredibly powerful body of Superman, well weakened by the effects of kryptonite. And you know what? Somewhere out there, the Ultra Humanite is just kicking the air and cursing out loud, thinking that he was the only gorilla who was able to try and steal people's bodies. Now, a rampaging Grodd Superman ends up being a real problem for everyone, especially as that moment the military ends up showing up to try and investigate what's going on in the newly discovered Gorilla City. Meaning that the heroes need to not only save the day, but also stop a full-on international incident from getting kickstarted. Now, Grodd uses Superman's amazing powers to knock around his friends, but the genius didn't seem to realize that inheriting Superman's powers also means inheriting his weaknesses too. And because they still have Titano's amazing kryptonite vision on hand, the heroes can stop Superman dead in his tracks, though dead actually becomes quite a sticking point. Batman uses Titano reluctantly on Superman, knowing full well that too much kryptonite could actually spell the end of the Man of Steel, while Solivar, on the other hand, feels that Grodd in Superman's body is way too dangerous, and that they need to do whatever it takes to make sure that he doesn't break containment. Thankfully, this is where Barry Allen once again ends up coming in absolutely clutch. He thinks fast and realizes that if he can grab Grodd's empty body and phase shift through mind-controlled Superman at super speed, then well, he just kinda hopes Clark can work out the whole mental thing from the inside. Yes, the science and implications on this one are absolutely insane, but we have 3 superheroes fighting intelligent gorillas in their super city, so just go with it. Naturally, this crazy gamble ends up working, and Superman is saved, regaining control over his body. Hell, Solivar and the rest of Gorilla City are so grateful to the Justice League for saving them, they even decide to keep Titano around in hopes that they can reverse what was done to him by mad science. Which I guess too, when we stop and think about it, retroactively explains why we don't see Titano anymore in modern stories. With Grodd defeated, he is once again put in Gorilla City prison, only here's the thing, at his absolute lowest, he ends up getting contacted by his future self, the Gorilla Grodd who led Inferno, aka a brand new version of the Legion of Doom, who has been duking it out with the new Justice League Unlimited in the other Mark Waid book on the shelf right now. It seems that after gaining control of Martian Manhunter's amazing mental abilities, Gorilla Grodd decided to put in action a decades-long revenge plot to bring down the League once and for all, even if it meant having to cross time and space to do it. And it's on that note right there the comic comes to a close, everyone. And so that was Batman Superman World's Finest, issue number 38. And I gotta say, this was a damn fun issue, both as a kickoff for the We Are Yesterday crossover and just a really solid one-and-done self-contained story on its own. You know, as a workaday comic critic and consumer advocate, my work with comics often means sometimes I have to skip books that I know I would probably end up loving, and this Batman Superman book is definitely one of those. You can just tell Waid and Mora are having as much fun working on this book as we, the reader, are actually reading it. There's also something kind of wonderful too about Gorilla Grodd being this big bad crossover villain who has reconvened a younger version of the Legion of Doom to fight the League, especially when we stop and consider Waid's own considerable history with the Flash family of books, so naturally he would pick a Flash villain to be the big bad of his new Justice League run. Beyond that, I don't really know what more there is to say about this one. It was fun, it was exciting, the art looked great, it was a fun throwback to team-ups of yesteryear, and it promises even more cool stuff to come in the bigger crossover. Overall, I would give this one a very solid 8 out of 10, and I can't wait for the next JLU issue to see what happens next. Hey there everyone, it's your pal Cape Joel again, and if you're seeing my face right now, that means you watched to the end of the video, and I'll always be grateful for that. Retention helps in this crazy YouTube game, and so does becoming a patron. If you head on down to the description, you can find a link to my Patreon page. Recently just redid all the tiers, a lot of cool stuff offering up there, exclusive commentaries, exclusive polls, behind the scenes concept art for Capes and Quest, that's the brand new D&D show I've started soon. Never been a better time to become a patron. You can become a patron for as little as $1 a month and help the channel grow and, you know, help me continue to deliver content like what you just saw. So I want to thank you all, and I will see you again next time. Bye-bye.